Really great.
Oh, really great. Oh, you're more than
Step
good.
up. Step up from really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-confidence is everything. All right. Yeah, we sound great, don't we?
Self-confidence, doesn't it?
Damn it.
I'm really great.
I'm good.
Maybe I'll order a $500 neon sign that says that. Maybe that'll finally prove that I am.
So let's do this off the top. Oh, except that not everybody can see you. That's the problem. Oh, we should take a picture, Mo, before
Okay.
we forget.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take
Let me turn,
one,
I'm
'cause
gonna-
I always
let's turn
forget.
off the fluorescent lights in here. Hang on a second.
Okay.
But not the really good. Really
Yeah,
great.
really great. Oh, now it really stands out.
There you go. And I should be lit in a second here. Yeah.
Are you lit?
Ooh. We're lit. We're lit. Little
We're
early, but
always
we're
lit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if we did this show, if we taped later in the day, we would definitely be lit.
You know, one time I saw an interview with Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yeah.
And he was
Horrible
saying
man.
that he is everything he claims to be.
Yes, he
what
is.
he is. But he was like, no, I can't sit here. I can't sit here. And they're like, why? And they're like, because you can see my scalp. And that's how I feel now.
We've never seen it before.
I actually have Shannon Tweed on our list, Wendy. I
Oh.
think it would be interesting to talk to his
And Cher, his exes.
Did he date Cher?
Yeah,
How could she?
I know. Well, look at all the people she went out with. This should
Yeah,
be
I
a
know,
real
but
podcast.
that's particularly
And married.
reprehensible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes. Now she's
Greg
with a
Allman,
12-year-old.
yeah. Yeah.
Is that
All
too
right.
dark or is that okay? Is that all right?
I don't know. It's up to you.
I don't know. I can't tell if it's too dark or not.
It's
You're
just
colorful yourself. I love the sign and the shirt. It's very spring-like.
And the
it's good.
scalp. The scalp is good.
Fuck you, Wendy. Fuck you. How dare you.
I should tell you when I am recording that when this goes, we have a YouTube channel as well, and
Yeah.
I just looked at one of them because I don't know whether you look at yourselves or listen back to yourself. I try
All the
not
time.
to. I try not to, and there I am, and they put everything up, like all this stuff. Yeah, like Stuart
Okay.
saying "fuck you, Wendy." That's on. That's up there. Hello, internet. This is the internet's dad swearing at
right.
Wendy Mesley, natural
I'm so
Beloved
hurt.
treasure.
Canadian icon.
Yeah.
I'm so hurt. I don't think I can carry on.
Let's take a picture, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I hate this.
I
Okay.
love it.
Wendy, I found out where they all went.
Oh.
Found all the quote. Yeah, we've been taking pictures for the last 6 months, and we never
Oh my
knew
God,
where they
look at
went.
that.
I found them yesterday. Okay, so Stuart, we're gonna call you Stuart? Is that okay, or should we call
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Brittlestar?
No. You can call me Stuart. Absolutely.
Okay, we're gonna do a little intro here.
Yeah.
And you're gonna listen to us talk about you, and then
Amazing.
we will we'll bring you on, and we'll talk about the patriarchy. All right. All right, here we go.
I may change my lighting while you're doing it off screen.
No, you have to be
No,
there.
you have to be there. Otherwise,
Oh
you're a
my God.
distraction. Or you can, you know what? We can
But you can
take
change
you
your
off.
lighting ahead of time.
Or I
No,
can
I'm ready. I'll stay
All
here.
right.
I'll stay here.
Okay.
I'll stay here.
All right. All right. Here we go. Hey, Wendy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? More importantly, you've been under the weather.
Yeah, no, you can still hear it a little bit. I got a voice thing, but it keeps going. It keeps going. So
Yeah,
anyway, but
well,
I'm here. How are
okay.
you? What do you think?
I'm great. I want to know if you have any thoughts on the patriarchy.
The what? Is it a little early?
The
Oh, the patriarchy.
Yes,
Oh.
the patriarchy.
Oh, you mean like where, men sort of hold all the power and women mostly don't hold much power, that thing?
Yeah, it's quite seriously, it's always lurking under everything that we do on this show. Just by calling ourselves and many of our guests women of ill repute, we're implying that our repute is being made ill by
Well, the patriarchy.
the patriarchy.
Of course, yes. Men, they're mostly white. They're mostly middle-aged.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't we like middle-aged guys? I mean, or even love middle-aged
Yeah,
guys?
well, we married a couple of white middle-aged guys, one each.
Good, you pointed that out.
And I'm the mother of two white guys who will one day be middle-aged, though they probably don't realize that. And I wonder if their time has come and gone.
Well, I don't know. I kind of wonder about that. They certainly had their day in the sun, held all the power. Although, you know what? I've been saying that there's been this big change for like decades now. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. No argument, but it has got to be a challenge I'm talking about our guest, who you can see if you're watching us, a seemingly average white middle-aged man, and it's got to be hard to be relevant and to express thoughts and opinions that are not dated or elitist or insensitive.
Yeah, and he's also kind of funny in a well, he was just flashing his boobs at us, but he's for those of you who can see it, we'll bring him on in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, if this sounds familiar to you or interesting, chances are you've heard of Brittlestar.
Yeah, so that is his nom de guerre or nom de internet or nom d'online. I don't know, whatever that is. We'll figure out what it means.
But his real name is Stuart Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stuart Reynolds is a comedian, and he's a writer from Stratford, Ontario. And you may know him from a Facebook campaign for KFC, which became, at the time, the world's most watched branded video. That's back in 2017, I think.
Yeah, okay. Amazing, I'm sure. But lately, he's kind of this biting presence on social media. It's kind of cool, especially on Twitter. He makes fun, sometimes gently, sometimes pointedly, of everybody, men, women, everybody, Canadians.
He calls himself the internet's favorite dad, complete with dad bod, dad jeans, dad jokes, and dad jokes. Welcome, Brittlestar, Stuart Reynolds. Hi.
Gosh, you know how to make a guy feel welcome.
What does that say behind you? Really good? Really, really goat? Really?
It's my daily. It's really goats, and but if you squint your eyes, it says really great, which is just my daily affirmation. I come out here, I plug in the neon sign, and I kneel down in front of it, and I just go, maybe today.
Maybe today. We put you in a position maybe that you're not comfortable in, but you put yourself there as that you are. You call yourself the internet's dad.
It's true. Internet's favorite dad.
Dad.
Yeah. And I actually stole that kind of from, well, not really stole, but as an homage to Alan Thicke.
Oh, yeah?
Because he used to have in his Twitter bio, America's favorite dad, but he spelt favorite the Canadian way. As like a little bit of a, nudge, wink, wink. And then when he died, I was like, well, no one else is using it. I'll just steal it and make it the internet's favorite dad.
It's so like the symbol that Prince used. Somebody should take that because it's
I think you got to show the thing behind you because it does kind of look like goat. Yeah,
it's really great. Yeah.
Well, it's
really
cursive,
great.
and that's the problem with the kids today is that no one's learning cursive.
Okay, let's start with that. That is one of the problems. I agree. Nobody can write anymore. Nobody has handwriting.
They taught us cursive in grade 2, and I'm like, are kids in grade 2 writing checks? Like, we don't need to know this yet, do we? Like, these kids couldn't even do a proper W then.
I was in a store the other day and it was a couple of years ago, but anyway, I was buying stamps because I had to like mail a check to somebody who like lives in the woods. But anyway, I was mailing something, I was buying stamps, and this 20-year-old said to me, "Oh my God, is that a stamp?" And I'm like, "Screw you, buddy." Like, yeah, it's a stamp. But yeah, no one uses stamps.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, we've had times with both our boys are 21 and 24 years old now. And we've had two separate instances where they've had to mail something and they're like, how do I do this?
Yeah,
like
that's
they've never been
exactly
taught how to format the address or anything, you know? But of course, why would they?
Exactly. There's no need to. So my son, who's just turned 30, got married last year, and they were sending out their wedding invitations, and he literally called me, excuse me, and said, "How does this work again?"
That's a bit unbelievable, really, when you think about it. And today, even though emails are free and stuff as such, it's unbelievable that you can put something on a piece of paper. And then you can wrap it in another piece of paper, and then put another piece of paper on that, and someone will take it, and then lick it,
and lick it.
Someone will take it, and to the other person physically for like $1. That's crazy.
I know.
So you've got two sons. Are they part of the patriarchy? Are you training them up?
Yeah, that's right. We watch nothing but Andrew Tate videos, and we just share them back and forth in a group chat called. No. I mean, look at me.
Yeah, but look at you. You do look like what you are, which is a dad, a funny, wry, white dad, and a
like
colorful.
rye.
Rye is good. You are very wry.
Well,
I think this is
appreciate
the
that.
first time I've seen you smile.
I know I don't like to smile very often, but I just had my teeth whitened like 2 days
See?
ago, so I'm
Is she?
okay.
Is she? Oh, very nice.
Not
Very
bad.
nice.
It's hard to tell in this light.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been watching all of these series that go back 100 years, but they all have really super white teeth. They didn't have super white teeth 100 years ago.
I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe it's the 5G is what it is.
Yeah, I think they're retouched now for those old guys. I mean, I think Clark Gable had wooden teeth, or was that George Washington? One of those guys. Had really
Listener,
bad
if you're looking for historical facts, you can change to a different podcast now.
teeth. I know a lot of stuff. Are you like a not a trivia, but I mean there's a place in the world, and it's called the internet, for people who know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That isn't particularly useful in any other area, but becomes very entertaining on social. Are
I
you
think
one of
you've
those guys?
You've described my career. What I've
Mine too.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I started doing social media when I was 43 years old, and the notion that I could make a living out of using my telephone to film videos and post them for people is ridiculous, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
nonsense. But here I am.
And yet, it's not the worst. It's not the worst development in this postmodern world that we can all become our own filmmakers and recording studios, so that we all have that means at our disposal and a way of sharing it with other people. Like, yeah, I'm describing your career.
No, I think it can be very, very wonderful.
And it can be awful too.
And yet, you market yourself as, we'll get into the dad stuff in a minute, but I find
Yeah.
it really interesting, back to the patriarchy. Well, just the whole idea that you kind of school people in a nice way, and you say, I have opinions, and I'm a middle-aged white guy, and it's
Yeah.
okay to have opinions. So some opinions, I guess. Like, how did you figure it out? Were you feeling ignored, or did you feel like there was a gap, or what? Like, why?
I
What?
think
How?
not so much ignored. It's hard to be ignored when you're a white dude. I mean, that's the key. Is that that's one of the benefits of being a white guy, is that you can do a lot of things that people who aren't white guys can do. But I think that there was definitely a gap. There was kind of this notion I could tell. I remember years ago saying to my wife Shannon, I want to declare my views on things. And she was like, you don't necessarily have to declare them. You just have to kind of walk the walk. You kind of have to demonstrate them and show other white guys that they don't have to panic. And that's kind of been my MO. It's kind of been like, everyone's panicked like they're going to come take their cargo shorts and beers and back decks. And it's like, relax, guys. It's fine. You know
Yeah.
what transgender people are coming for your backyard barbecue? Nobody. It's fine. Who cares? Move on.
And so you've become, and I'm borrowing from Lena Dunham here, if not the voice of your generation, you're a voice of your generation.
What is this? I just getting beaten up.
No,
I had
no,
the-
no, no.
The
I mean
biggest
that- I mean,
branded
that's-
video in the world in 2017, which was met with a yeah. I
Who
beat
was that? Was
Nike.
it chickens or something?
That was
I-
you. No, for KFC.
I beat Nike by 10 million views. Cristiano Ronaldo can suck it. He was in their video that year. Take that, patriarchy.
So you've got this is burgeoned. I mean, are you surprised by this? This has exploded. I've been following you for probably about a year.
Yeah.
And I don't follow a lot of people. But I'm sure, I mean, I'm not alone. You've tapped into a vein. Did this surprise you? I mean, this is your full-time job, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. I've been doing this full time for the past 10 years. So I've been doing it for a long time, and I've seen a lot of changes. But I mean, certainly over the course of like the pandemic and stuff, when there was a captive audience, and it suddenly meant that you'd look at late night talk shows and they were suddenly filming from their house and stuff, and I was like, I've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
So it kind of leveled the playing field a little bit, and it kind of really made social media content and video content specifically on par with television. It was kind of like, well, this is how I see the world through my phone, whether it be TV or videos or whatever. And that's been really interesting change that's happened in the past like 3.5 years. But it's been gradual. Like I've sort of seen it, it feels like a 10-year overnight success story is essentially
Yeah.
what it's been. I mean, like in 2016, I was invited to the White House by the Obamas. It's like, that's 7 years ago, right? I mean, Wendy wouldn't even consider that a thing. She'd be like,
I've never been to the, well, it used to be they didn't have, you used to be able to go up and like knock on the window and go, hi. And now you're
Yeah.
like 5 blocks away.
They frown on that.
Yeah, well, understandably.
Yeah, especially, well, nothing happened when I waved through the window. But I wonder, how do you figure out, like, does Shannon give you advice on how to, like, you
What are
mentioned
the
the vaccination
topics?
thing on
Yeah.
COVID. Like, you actually wrote kind of pointed stuff about vaccinations. Like, how do you,
Yeah.
what's the line? Like, you made fun of people for not getting a vaccination.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that part of that sort of notion of take a deep breath. This is not as complicated as you think it is. This is not some sort of dark arts. This is not like, you just have to, it's more intuitive than you think. It's like, this is happening. Someone said, who's proven right for decades and decades, we should do this. We should probably at least try that. Let's just do that. As opposed to, sort of flying off the deep end and stuff. And it was, I think I was able to fortunately speak to the frustrations of a lot of people who were like, I think I'm doing the right thing, but these people are telling me I'm not. And it's like, no, take a breath. You're doing the right thing. It's fine. Let's just move through this as much as we can. That's it. So, I mean, I felt there was times where, I mean, I got lots of blowback for sure. But at the time, it's kind of like, this is a war effort. This is like, everyone just do your bit and shut up.
Not too many jokes there, though.
Well, I mean, there is in a sense, because I mean, I remember I was thinking about, there's this whole stink right now in the anti-vax community about influencers. I'm not an influencer because I'm not good looking enough. I'm a content creator as such. But there's this whole story about how, oh, thank you. I am pretty good looking. I'll take it. There's this whole story about how the government had been paying off influencers to promote the use of vaccines and stuff. And I've put out numerous things saying I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid at all to do any of that stuff. Primarily because, one of the videos I did was a rock song parody of Whitesnake that was called Holy Fuck, Just Get Your Vaccine, Baby. It's like, Jesus Christ, just fucking do it. So, I mean, that's kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to take that stance anytime, because that's my regular stance in real life as well. It's kind of like, just what are we doing? Don't waste my time.
Well,
and
that
yours.
brings me to a point. You are who you are. This is not an act. This is not Brittlestar, as Wendy said, you're known to internet. Which
Yeah.
I like. But that you're not espousing or professing any views that you, Stuart Reynolds, do not hold. Or are
Yeah,
you?
and no. I think that's accurate, and I think that's one of the weird things about social media specifically is that it's a very, like, to sort of succeed, not absolutely, but largely to succeed on social media, there has to be some sort of authentic connection and genuineness to what you're doing, because it's such an intimate medium. Like, people are holding you in their hands while you're talking to them, and they're on the bus with headphones, or they're in the bathroom, or they're on the couch or in bed or something, and it's a very intimate medium, and there's a very big trust factor built into that. And I think one of the things when I started doing this was like, I can't portray something that's not going to be me. So when these people meet me in real life, I don't want them to go, well, you said this, but you're obviously not doing that. There's like a really weird parasocial relationship people have with social media content, and I try to be aware of that. So, and part of being aware of that is just kind of like, I don't want to do something I can't continue doing or don't believe in doing,
I
essentially.
probably shouldn't tell you this, but
Go.
because you're on the podcast as we speak. But someone
Yeah.
told me the other day that, yes, I listen to your podcast when I'm going to sleep at night because it helps put me to sleep.
What, ours?
Yes.
Wake
Yeah.
Wake up, listener. I hope your sleep's ruined.
I'm sure they meant at the very end when we said goodnight
That's
that was
probably it.
Yeah,
yeah,
yes, I
that must
know.
be it.
No,
Yeah.
there are people out there making a living doing podcasts that put people to sleep.
Yeah.
Some very, very big names are doing that. So, more power to them. But that is not what we're about. So, other than anti-vaxxers, Stuart, what else is turning your crank these days? What else is getting under your skin?
I mean, oh, it's too late for anti-vaxxers. They don't get under my skin. They're just whatever.
They're
We've
whatever.
moved on. I mean, I think one of my reasons for doing what I do is realizing I have a platform, and again saying to I sort of feel like the middle-aged white guy whisperer. I feel like I can sort of say to other middle-aged white guys again, this is not a big deal. Like you saw that there's a clip of Kid Rock
Oh
using
God.
shooting up
Yeah.
cases of Bud Light because Bud Light had a trans woman as part of their campaign or something, and it was like,
Wow.
dude, dial it back.
It's really not
What
worth
are,
the
what are
energy.
you upset about? Like this, first of all, if you're drinking Bud Light, you've already crossed the line.
There goes that sponsor.
Exactly. But
I
I mean,
don't think they
second
were
to
for
that, like,
us
what's the
anyway.
what's the point? It's just, so it's like I kind of, I think it's there's room for someone and for content, not someone, but room for content that says we don't have to get super hyped about this. We don't have to be. I'm not like trying to shove stuff into people's faces. I'd rather just be like, this is a non-issue. Like this has
Yeah.
little to no impact on me whatsoever, and it makes things better for other people. Okay, sure, sounds great to me. And that's kind of been what I like to try to have as a guide for what I'm doing, basically. So there's nothing really gets under my skin as such. It's just sort of like,
I,
everyone calm
I
down.
think it's great. I think it's wonderful that you're speaking out. It's wonderful that you're taking positions on tricky stuff, and it's wonderful that you're doing that while trying to make people laugh. But most importantly, I think it matters that you're saying that older people, middle-aged people, even white guys, members of the patriarchy, they deserve to be listened to, and that we're still learning. We have thoughts, and we might be learning some stuff, but we also have stuff to add. So I think it's great. So you can lean
thank
over and
you.
show your really great thing.
You
now.
are really great. As the father of boys, men,
Yes.
and as I said, I have two of my own as well. I think, I remember when they were born and everybody was like, "Oh, another boy." It's like, who gives a shit now? But at the time, having boys was some sort of testimony to a dad who, as we
Right.
know, biologically has nothing to do with the sex of or the gender of the child.
Yeah.
But as the parent of two, 50 years ago, they would have had the world by the tail. And I'm not saying they don't. They're tall, well educated, white. But if they are up for a job against
Yeah.
a person of color who has the same qualifications, they are not going to get that job. And I'm not whining about this, but it's a reality. And I wonder how you feel both as what you do and as a parent about that, the fact that the scales are starting to tip in the
Well, I mean,
postmodern world.
I mean, it's a tough thing to respond to because I think when in this is a pretty lofty statement, but I think in social justice, that pendulum swings hard in either direction it goes in, as we've seen over the course of history. I mean, I think sort of you see that political correctness, and it swings really, really hard in the other direction to the exclusion of people that were once previously had the advantage. And the thing is, I don't think it'll stay there. Like it just can't stay there. So I think it'll come back down, and hopefully it'll be just an even playing field, so that it becomes less of a case of looking at someone and saying, "Oh, this person's, I like this person. I don't know why," and the reason is that they're the same color as you.
Yeah.
And it'll be more a case of like, well, there's a bunch of people, and of course they're all different colors because who cares?
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the person that I like the best and that works the best, and that's basically it. But I think there's what's really interesting. We were talking about this recently. Is that myself and Shannon is that I think the pandemic, and not to harp too much on that, but the pandemic was such a time of floaty, non-binary, to sort of steal a term, reality. It was kind of like, well, this might be happening, but it might not be happening, and this could be happening. But there's a lot of indecision, a lot of cloudiness and vagueness to it. And I think you can sort of see how that has impacted people who are like now panicked, like supercharged panic about LGBTQ plus issues and transgender issues and race issues. And it's like everybody just wants something concrete and absolute. And especially the detractors from those who are against those communities. And you can see how the pandemic's had that effect on people and really supercharged those emotions. But the idea is, like, again, as it's been said a million times, is that, equality and equity doesn't mean that that someone else has to suffer. It means that everybody comes up. Everyone's
Yeah,
coming
ideally.
up. Ideally. I mean, but it takes a while to get there because you have to kind of swing hard and then come back up.
Yeah, I used to think that there were cycles in life, and now I'm not so sure that there are, because I think, as has been said by so many, that things have gone perhaps a little bit too far. But then I remember how things were 20, 30, 40
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago. And that was completely unacceptable, what was said about so many people
Yeah.
who are, yeah. So it's just, I think perhaps there has been an extreme reaction in some quarters. But now I'm a middle-aged white woman, and it's
Mhm.
almost as bad as being a middle-aged white man. So
Well, I
it's,
know. I know. What's funny is that when you
Karen.
guys had approached me about talking about this theme, and I was like, huh, pretty lofty for two old white ladies.
lofty. You can call us lofty.
By the way, I love how we're stretching middle age now because clearly
Well, I know.
we're
Yeah.
going to live to be 130.
There's a bunch of people who are like 40 going, go to hell. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Keith Bogue, who was a correspondent for CBC for 100 years like me. And I was anchoring the news and I was wearing fake pearls, big, huge, like Wilma Flintstone kind of pearls. And he said, "Oh, you look a little middle-aged in those pearls." And I'm like, I'm 50. If I live to 100, like that would be great. Who
That
you
would be
calling
awesome.
middle-aged? Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
what comes after that? Elderly?
No, I don't want to do that either.
I give Wendy a hard time because she's 2 years older than me. So I'm always saying, well, ask Wendy. She's older. She'll know. But it is like, what's the next benchmark? I'm starting to embrace old lady. I mean, as soon as
Yeah.
I let my hair go the color
Lisa,
that it is.
Lisa, yes.
Lisa and me. I thought, okay, what the hell? I am an old, well, but I'm not an old lady. I'm not I'll let you know when I am. Actually, I won't even know who you are.
I bet you every generation says this, but it feels like, what was old when we were young is no longer that old anymore. I mean, I think, as long as you have your health, there's a lot you can do. Until you can't, you can still do it. So.
Well, the average age that people died of in the 20s, in the 1920s, was 61.
Oh yeah.
I just read that. Like that's 100
Oh
years
my God.
ago.
Yeah. Like
We'd
I
be
remember talking
dead.
to my parents and they'd be like, oh, my grandparents, like nobody lived past 63. And it's like, oh God, like that's,
God.
and they felt like really old. So yeah, no, I think we're
Whereas
fine.
our kids could very well see 3 digits.
Yes.
They're kind of not counting on it, but kind of dealing with the reality that they're going to be around maybe longer than they want to be.
Yeah, when our youngest was born in 2002, Gregor, I remember a story came out like that month saying kids born this year will live to about 150, and it's like, I don't know if that's good or not.
No. There's not enough room or jobs or money. For
Well,
everybody
listen,
to
we could be
around.
on the moon by then and Mars. You never know. Not with Elon, but with somebody else maybe. So.
Yeah.
Well, his clone. But what about your kids? I mean, there's all kinds of mummy blogs. You're not exactly a daddy blog. You're kind of, I don't know what you are, but have you ever thought of doing a daddy blog? Where are all the kids? I guess they're out of diapers now, but
God, I hope so. They're in their 20s.
Yes, yeah. It'll come for full circle maybe eventually, but for now, everyone's out of diapers. But I mean, I've gone to a couple of events. I've spoken at a couple of events for a conference called Dad 2.0, which is really interesting, and it's full of like daddy bloggers and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
And it's-
really?
Yeah, and it's really great. Like it's a super supportive environment. There's like it's a bunch of tough guys who are like talking about being dads. And it's like cool.
Tough
And,
guys.
and it's true. It's crazy. You sort of
Is
go and you
it?
think,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like, oh, you're like, oh, these are going to be a bunch of softies. And it's like, oh no, these are like really hard guys who are like, we're going to get absolutely ripped tonight in New Orleans. And then tomorrow we're going to get up and talk and cry.
That's great.
Which is really great. And it's a really
Yeah.
great convention conference type thing. It's really fun. But I mean, I remember thinking the last one I went to was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I necessarily fit into this category anymore. And I think that's partly because when we started doing content for social media, our kids were 11 and 14. And they're not cute anymore. I mean, they're doing their own thing. It's
Smelly
like,
and
just
big.
swim, kids, swim.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to kind of be a little bit of that dad character. And I certainly get a lot of people who connect to me online who look for that kind of dad and that dad vice type of thing for me. But
But in a
I'm
good
not-
way. I mean, you remind me
Yeah.
a little bit of Stephen Colbert, or he reminds me a little bit about you. Not
I
necessarily
like
as
the latter.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. But that idea that there's and it's men who are not afraid to sound sensitive and intelligent, and that's a fairly new persona. But in fact, I'm going to take it a little further. I was watching Bob Odenkirk's new show. Lucky Hank. I know you can compare it to Better Call Saul. There's a bleakness that I find in popular culture now for men, that their stories are, we're going to use the word wry again, but sort of undercut with a sense of oh, I'm depressing myself now. A sense of loss almost, or a sense of what could have been, or not fulfilling potential, or it's so different from what it was growing up, where men were men and were very sure who they were and what they were supposed to represent, for better or for worse. Now there seems to be more of a search for the proper role to take on.
Or
Well, I
you,
think.
they
Sorry, go
used to
ahead,
just
Em.
turn to alcohol, didn't they? In
Well,
the
I mean, that's
old
exactly
days?
it. I mean, really. I mean, I think I don't buy into this idea that there was a time when men were men. I sort of feel like on the surface, maybe it looked like that. And I think there was a much easier identity to buy into, that everyone was kind of like, let's just all pretend like this is the way
Yeah.
things are and this is everyone's happy. I'm sure there was lots of tremendously unhappy and soul searching dudes back in the 50s. It's kind of like, you think back to, I remember my high school girlfriend, her family is from Windsor, and both of her grandparents one was GM, one was Ford, and they had moved to Windsor to be part of the auto manufacturing industry. And was baked in. That's what you did. And the whole neighborhoods were sprung up around that idea. And then it just all fell apart. And it was kind of left a bunch of people going, I don't know who I am anymore. I've never had to think
Yeah.
about it. I've just been able to sort of slot in and track in. I remember, as a side note to that, there was I got asked to speak to a bunch of grade eights one time. This is like really early on, and this is like very early on in 2013, maybe just the beginning of 2014. And these kids were getting ready to go into high school, and the principal was up before me, and he was like, "This is the track you take if you want to do this career, and this is the track you take if you want to take this career." And then it was my turn, and I was like, "Kids, what I'm doing for a job didn't exist 6 months ago. So keep the doors open, learn as much as you can, and just be prepared for anything. Just try to find something that makes you happy, because it's not the same anymore. It's not the same. We have to kind of reinvent what's happening, and we can't just sort of cookie cutter everybody, because people don't fit like that."
What did your kids tell people that you did back when they were kids and you were just starting out?
Um,
Actor? Or was it that simple, or did they
no,
say?
I think what was weird was that because we were part of, like, we started on an app called Vine, which was
Yeah, I remember
6.4
Vine.
second looping videos. And it was such a popular app that people just assumed we were rich from the get-go. They were like, "Oh, yeah, I know what your dad does." Like, so everybody kind of knew. And then, of course, both of our kids were creating content as well. So they were just, I think they cringed the most at people sort of assuming that we were rich and famous. And it's like, no, you should come see our house. We are not rich and famous. We are like living in leftover 1986 Bollywood here. This is not good.
But now you're loaded, right? Because you got a podcast
Yeah,
and you're
well,
online.
I
podcasts.
spent it all on the sign.
Really goat. That's what it says, right?
Really
Well, you're-
goat. Yeah. I'm really the greatest of all time.
Really great, GRATE.
That's probably
no.
accurate. Yeah.
We have to let you go soon, and we didn't even get to ask about dad jokes. But I don't think you tell them ananymore. I think you're just
Yeah,
a
no,
little bit humorous.
I'm more cerebral than that now.
Yeah. What's anything coming up that you need to plug or want to plug? 'Cause
Yes, yeah. There's lots of fun stuff happening, which is great. But I think the most exciting thing for me, at least on the horizon, is that I have a book coming out in September in Simon and Schuster on their Post Hill Press imprint, which I really take great delight in knowing that my fellow. Do you call them label mates when you're on a publishing company?
No, there is a name for it. I don't think it's labeled. That's record.
Right, yeah, I'm trying to keep
but
it
your
cool.
your literary colleagues.
Literary colleagues include Lauren Bobbert, so that's good.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And,
Felicitations.
Yeah, the ghost of Herman Cain, and yeah, it should be great.
What's it called?
No, actually, they've been great. It's called "Welcome to the Stupid Apocalypse: Survival Tips for the Dumageddon."
Oh,
Okay. And
What
it's
are the
coming out in the
tips?
fall?
What's
Can you
that?
give us one tip?
Sure. Take a breath and relax. That's probably one. That's one general tip. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. The foreword's written by Ryan Reynolds. The afterword
Are
is
you
written by Colin
serious?
Mockery. Yeah, the afterword's written by Colin Mockery, and the middle word is written by Mary Trump. So I'm excited.
Are you serious?
Totally serious.
Oh,
pretty
I
great.
love Colin Mockery. Well, Ryan Reynolds too, but Colin Mockery is amazing. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm a
that's
fan.
great.
I like
I
all
know.
of them.
I know.
But
They're all great.
yeah, congratulations. We'll have you
Thank
back
you.
on. We'd love to if
Yeah.
you'll come back on.
Absolutely. As
Yeah.
long as I mean, I expect sort of slightly less
What?
hard-hitting introduction.
You weren't supposed to be listening.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
sorry.
I know. We,
Oh, white guy privilege again. Oh,
You should hear what we say after we say goodbye.
yeah, that's coming up. Stuart Reynolds, also known as Brittlestar. You
Oh
can
yeah,
follow
why do you
him.
why do you
Sorry?
call it Brittlestar?
Yeah,
so
Mr. Brittlestar?
So Brittlestar was a band name in 2004.
it sounds
and
like
I,
a band name.
I wrote an album, co-wrote an album with Stephen Duffy, who was one of the founders of Duran Duran, and wrote with Robbie
Wow.
Williams and the Barkney Ladies and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, no one's going to buy a T-shirt with Stuart Reynolds on it, so I better find a better name. So our oldest son, Owen, had a marine life book. He was 3 at the time, and he loved this section on starfish, and one of the starfish were called brittle stars. They could see out of their tentacles, and they defecated out of their mouths. And I was like, cool.
Perfect.
When I made the switch from rock and roll to comedy, I was like, this works. This works. So
Yeah, I love that. They can see out of their fingers and defecate out of their mouths. That's
Just
us
like
all
me.
over. Stuart Reynolds, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So
Thanks
much
for
fun
having
to
me.
talk to you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
work on that sign.
well, I'm just going to kneel in front of it for a bit after this.
Lovely to talk to you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he's so great. I'm so happy that people like him are able to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
He's got a book coming out now. Good we didn't have to read that for the show.
Yeah. I don't think it would have been tough. And we should have him. Yeah, there are a number of people that we talk to that I feel like we should have as regulars. And I'm sure that our listeners wouldn't disagree that Stuart would be one of them because, I mean, he's funny as hell. In a wry, dry kind of way, but he's, he thinks about these things and he's representing his species finely, I believe.
Yeah, well, as I say, middle-aged white women are in the same camp as he is now.
know,
So
I
it's just
know.
there's a lot of women sort of glorifying being women. I hope to God that's not what we're doing, maybe. But
I know what you mean. I
Yeah.
don't want to come across as sort of sanctimonious or holier than thou because I'm some sort of privileged white woman, middle-aged white woman.
But
Because
you're
I'm gonna
really
live to be 130, by the way.
but you're really great.
Oh yeah, well you're really goat, so that's fantastic.
So I managed to make it through. Apparently, there was a little bit of snorkeling and whatever
was a
involved.
little bit, yeah.
Oh well.
Oh well, my God,
better.
Wendy Mesley, you're human.
I have a cold. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
who
you
knew
do.
I had? Yeah. You
Yeah,
can't have
well-
laryngitis as an anchor or as a
Yeah.
podcaster, apparently. But anyway, he was lovely. It was
He
so
was
nice to
lovely.
talk to him. Yeah.
And to you.
Bye.
Bye.